All right, so as promised, I want to go over example 4. So example 3, yes, more complicated than example 1 and 2. 1 and 2, when you are solving for the side that is across from the angle, and that in the equation it's on the left side all by itself, yes, fewer steps involved, a lot simpler. Totally with you there. Okay? And so when you're solving for the angle, yes, you really have to use your algebra skills and really have to remember order of operations and make sure you're adding when you need to, subtracting when you need to, multiplying when you need to. Okay? So with example 4, we want to find angle P. Okay, so that is this angle right here. Again, I would circle it. So we know that is all the way on the right side of our formula. Okay, all the way on the right side of our formula, we're going to write that cosine of P. So I need to figure out which one of the 3 sides that I'm given. Notice this is a side, 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 just as example 3 was. Okay, I need to figure out which one of those 3 sides goes on the opposite side of the equation, and the one that goes on the opposite side is the side opposite my angle in the actual triangle. So I draw an arrow from the angle I'm solving for to the side opposite, and that tells me 2.9 is the opposite side of angle P. So in my formula, that 2.9 is going to go on the left side of my equation. So 2.9 squared is equal to, and then after that, I'll remind you again, it does not matter the order, either one of the other sides that I know that form angle P. So here I might write 1.3 squared plus 3.1 squared. I could have gone in the other order. Okay, could have gone in the other order, don't need to, but I could have. Okay. So one of the sides squared plus the other side squared, side minus 2 times the 2 sides that form angle P. So 1.3 times that 3.1. If you want to use parentheses here for multiplication, you can as well. Times the cosine of my angle, and my angle that I am solving for is angle P. Then I like to make it more condensed because right now I am looking at a lot of numbers, especially with those decimal places. So I usually take whatever's on the far left side, square it, and I get 8.41. And then in my calculator, I type in 1.3 squared plus 3.1 squared. So I combine these two right here, that 1.3 squared and the 3.1 squared, add those together in my calculator, and I get 11.3. Minus, again, I have 2 times 1.3 times 3.1 times cosine of P. And those 3 are attached, but the 3 numbers that I already know, I can multiply those. Okay, so 2 times 1.3 times 3.1, type that in your calculator, and you should get 8.06. So that is 2 times 1.3 times 3.1, and that's being multiplied by cosine of angle P. All right. From here, remember, since 8.06 is being multiplied by cosine of P, the multiplication will have to come after the addition and subtraction, and that might throw you off. But if you think of PEMDAS, if I knew what P was, you would take care of parentheses first, so you'd find the cosine of P, then worry about the exponent, so you'd take that 1.3 squared, the 3.1 squared, then worry about multiplication and division from left to right, then addition, subtraction. So when you are actually putting a value in for a variable and solving it, you would go P down to that S. This is when you know the variable. But if I'm solving for the variable, you go backwards. So when I am solving for that angle P and it's way inside, inside that function cosine, I have to worry about the subtraction and the addition first. That is after I do square that. So that might be a little confusing, but in order to combine these, I do need to square them, okay? And I do need to take care of that multiplication. But when I get to this current step, I have to take care of any of that addition subtraction before I can even think about separating that 8.06 and the cosine p. So because of that, I am subtracting both sides by 11.3. Just a little bit. I'm subtracting both sides by that 11.3, and I get negative 2.89 is equal to negative 8.06 times cosine p. The reason why I'm subtracting 11.3 is that 11.3 is positive, so technically I'm adding that to the negative 8.06. Okay. So with that, now all that's left is this negative number times cosine p, and to undo multiplication, I divide. And so I'm going to bring that over to the right here a little bit, and I'm going to erase this. You do not need to write this. Doing that there for a visual. And so I am left with, and you can leave it as the negative divided by a negative. I like to get rid of that since a negative divided by a negative is a positive. I change it to 2.89 divided by 8.06 is equal to cosine of p, since dividing the negative 8.06 by itself turns into 1, and we don't need to write that out front. And then cosine of p is in the function cosine. So in order to undo cosine, I have to take the inverse cosine of both sides. So I put both sides into the inverse cosine function, which will get rid of this cosine, which means I am left with the inverse cosine of 2.89 divided by 8.06. That quotient is inside the inverse cosine, and that's equal to p. By taking the inverse cosine, as we learned last week, taking the inverse cosine of cosine, we undo that. Just like taking 1/3 times 3 will undo any multiplication. Division undoes, well, oh my gosh, undoes, will undo multiplication. Addition will undo subtraction. Square root will undo a square. Okay. When I put inverse cosine of 2.89 divided by 8.06 into my calculator, as I said before, I got p equals 69 degrees. Technically, 0.0 is what it comes out to by the time I round up. Round down. Okay. I will walk you very briefly through example 5. It is just starting some of our modeling unit, but I don't think it'll hurt to just go through one of these with you. So for example 5, we're using law of cosines. So from this diagram, we want to approximate the width of each wing. So width, that would be kj. So I want to know what is this side. Normally I would use I since it is across from that. You'll learn in Algebra 2 that means something else, but I'll still do that today. So I want to know what that side is. You might look at this and think, I only know an angle in one of the sides. But do not forget about our congruent markings, that IJ, segment IJ is congruent to segment IK. Notice you have a red notch on both sides. With that said, segment IJ happens to be 20 meters. So segment IK is also 20 meters. So hopefully you're sitting there thinking, law of sines, law of cosines, I already told you which one to use. But again, we've got a side, then the angle, then a side. So this is an example of side angle side. And we know when we have that, we're going to use law of cosines. And so I circle my angle, draw an arrow to the side opposite to figure out what side goes opposite of this angle in the equation. And so that tells me I will take I squared and set that equal to either one of the legs. And here it really doesn't matter which one you choose first because it is the same exact number. So 20 squared plus 20 squared minus 2 times one of the sides that forms angle I times the other side. So here 2 times 20 times 20 times the cosine of my angle. And I look back at my diagram and I see, oh, I know the angle is 50 degrees. Then, since I want to know what I is, I notice it is all by itself on that left side. So I need to undo that square. So to undo a square, I take the square root of both sides. And so that leaves me with I equals the square root of 20 squared plus 20 squared minus 2 times 20 times 20 times cosine of 50 degrees. You can actually do those calculations for years. If I'm being honest, for years I would take 20 squared and add it to 20 squared and figure out what 2 times 20 times 20 was and then multiply it by 50 degrees. And I went through all these steps. And then finally I was like, I can just put that in my calculator, take the square root and throw all that in. And I find out that I is equal to 16.9 meters. Okay, so the width of each wing, if I were to do the same thing over here, assuming it would be congruent, I would hope so, would be 16.9 meters. At this time, I should have said this on the other one, if you have your Law of Cosines worksheet that I handed out, I want you to do 1 through 4, and then the very last two problems. So it would be 9 and 10. So 1 through 4, and then 9 and 10. If you do not have that worksheet, I want you to go into the Unit 8 folder that you're already in where you saw this video, where you got this video, and I want you to go into the folder called blank sheets or worksheets and go in there and you'll find a Law of Cosines PDF. You can print that off and do 1 through 4 and then 9 and 10. 9 and 10, those are both side, side, side. And 1 through 4 happen to both be side angle side examples. Okay. If you have other questions, please come see me, and we shall have our CFA coming up here soon.